They say women notice a man's car, his money, or the color of his hair. But they're wrong. What women actually notice first has nothing to do with age, wealth, or youth. It has everything to do with presence. And not just any presence, but the presence of a man who has lived, reflected, and chosen growth over comfort. A man whose wisdom speaks before his mouth does. The truth is, you could be 25 with a perfect jawline or 55 with a few lines on your face, but if you lack the traits we're about to uncover, you'll be invisible. Because real attraction isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's subtle. Felt, not seen. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the 3 silent traits women instantly pick up on when they meet a high-value older man. These traits are timeless. They don't fade with age. And the final one? It's the reason some men become unforgettable. These aren't tactics. They're reflections of deep inner work. And any man can build them, starting today. Watch to the end. Because once you understand what women truly respond to, you stop performing. You start radiating. And if this message resonates, subscribe, leave a comment below, and let's get into it. Trait number 1, unflappable composure. What's the first thing a woman notices about an older man? It's not the watch, not the gray hair, and definitely not the bank account. It's his energy. The calm under pressure. His unflappable composure. And here's the paradox. It's not loud, not aggressive, not performative. It's quiet power. It's the way he doesn't flinch when things go wrong. While others react, he responds. While younger men might try to assert control through volume or bravado, the composed man controls the only thing that truly matters, himself. In a world addicted to noise and overreaction, composure is magnetic. Psychologically, it signals 2 things women instinctively crave: safety and leadership. A man who doesn't panic shows that he's faced storms before and survived them. That's stability. And the ability to pause before reacting? That's wisdom. The Stoics said it best. As Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That quote doesn't just hang on a wall. It lives in the breath an older man takes before speaking, in the way he keeps his tone steady when others are tense, in the stillness of his eyes. Let me paint a picture. I was once in a crowded airport during a delayed flight. People were frustrated, snapping at staff, pacing with anxiety. But there was one man, mid-50s, neatly dressed, silver beard, who caught my eye. Not because he was doing anything, but because he wasn't. He was sitting calmly reading. When the gate agent made a mistake on his boarding pass, he didn't raise his voice. He smiled, leaned in, clarified politely, and returned to his seat. 10 seconds. No tension. No fuss. Now here's what's fascinating. I noticed 2 women sitting across from him. Young, mid-30s maybe. One whispered to the other and glanced his way more than once. Why? Because composure stands out. In a room full of noise, calm is power. That man didn't need to say a word. His behavior spoke for him. It said, "I don't need to control this moment. I control myself." That's the kind of presence women remember long after the moment is gone. And make no mistake, this isn't about being passive. It's about being anchored. The world will always test you. Traffic, rejection, conflict. But the older man who doesn't let those moments define him becomes the one everyone looks to when things get chaotic. That's leadership without posturing. That's strength without a show. If you want to begin developing this kind of presence, start simple. Try the 5-second rule. Before you react, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what does this moment need from me? Not your ego, not your anger, but your intention. Because women don't remember the man who won the argument. They remember the man who stayed grounded while everyone else lost their center. But this next trait? It's what makes her stay in the conversation, not just notice your presence. Let's talk about it. Trait number 2, intentionality in conversation. Younger men often talk to impress. Older men, if they've matured, speak to connect. And that difference is everything. In a world addicted to speed, surface, and self-promotion, the man who listens with intentionality becomes rare. He becomes magnetic. Not because of the words he says, but because of the space he creates. Women aren't looking for a man who dominates the room. They're watching for the one who makes them feel seen inside it. Intentional conversation isn't just about asking deep questions. It's about presence. It's about being fully there, without scrolling your phone, planning your response, or subtly turning the moment back to yourself. It's the discipline of listening, without needing to steal the spotlight. When a man does this well, it shows something most can't fake: maturity, patience, and true curiosity. There's a psychological principle here. Studies show that people rate conversations as more enjoyable when they feel understood, not when they hear something clever. That means the attractive man isn't the one who talks the most. He's the one who pays attention the best. And you don't need to be a genius to do this. You need to care. Genuinely. Seneca once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." But most men forget that. And that's why they're forgotten. Let me give you a scene. I was sitting in a quiet wine bar, midweek, low lighting, not a loud place. A couple at the corner table caught my attention. Not because they were dramatic, but because of how still it was. The man, older, probably late 50s, wasn't saying much. But the way he looked at the woman when she spoke, no phone in hand, no interruptions, no nodding just to move things along. He was fully there. At one point, she paused mid-story, maybe uncertain about what she was sharing. He leaned in, gently asked, "And how did that moment change the way you saw it?" Her face lit up. That's not a pickup line. That's emotional intelligence in action. What did that small question do? It showed depth, interest, safety. And here's the truth. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she naturally opens up. And when she opens up with you, she connects to you. Not because you entertained her, but because you created space for her to be. Most men wait for their turn to speak. But the unforgettable man listens so well that a woman forgets what time it is. If you want to start building this trait, try this. Next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to one-up someone's story. Instead, reflect it back. Summarize what they said before adding your view. You'll be shocked how quickly people lean in, relax, and start seeing you differently. Because a man who listens with intention commands attention. But even that won't matter if your outer life doesn't reflect your inner work. That's what trait number 3 is all about. And it's the one most men overlook. Let's go deeper. Trait number 3, self-respect through active self-care. Most people think self-care is a luxury, a spa day, a designer suit, a cologne collection. But for a high-value man, especially one who's aging with purpose, self-care isn't luxury. It's respect. It's how you signal to the world that you take yourself seriously, that your standards aren't just for others, they're for you. Let's be honest. The average man lets himself go after a certain age. He blames his knees, his back, his metabolism. He laughs off the belly, shrugs at the blood pressure, and calls it just getting older. But behind that humor is resignation, quiet defeat. He stopped managing his appearance because he stopped managing his energy. The man women remember, the man other men quietly admire, does something radically different. He sees his body not as a burden, but as a vessel, a signal. He irons his shirt not because he's vain, but because details matter. He keeps his grooming sharp not for attention, but because sharpness reflects intention. And when he moves, whether it's 20 minutes of stretching, lifting, walking, he's telling the world, "I'm still here, and I still care." Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That mastery begins with the body, the simple, daily disciplines, the routines no one sees, the unspoken message in clean shoes, rested eyes, a calm breath. Self-respect shows up first in how you treat what you control, and that begins with you. Let me paint the picture. I once walked into a hotel lobby in the early morning. Half the guests were still in pajamas, waiting for coffee. But there was one man, late 50s, posture tall, wearing a crisp black polo, hair neat, reading a hardcover book. Not scrolling, not slouching, just still, present, controlled. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to prove anything. But the moment he stood to leave, the woman behind the front desk subtly straightened her own posture. I noticed that. Everyone else did too. What did he do that others didn't? He respected himself enough to show up, physically, mentally, energetically. His outer world was aligned with his inner standards, and that made him magnetic without saying a word. So here's the truth most men miss. How you treat your appearance is never just about vanity. It's about the message you send to yourself and to others. Women don't need you to look 20. They need to see that you haven't given up on yourself, that you value your life enough to maintain the vessel that carries it, that you care for what you own. And that includes your body, your routines, your space, and your state of mind. So if you're reading this thinking, I should start working out again, or maybe it's time to update what I wear. Yes, but not for approval, for alignment, because respect is attractive. But self-respect? That's unforgettable. Now that you've seen all three traits, it's time to tie it all together. Because true attraction isn't about tactics, it's about energy. And in the conclusion, we'll show you exactly how to build yours from the inside out. Keep watching. Every trait we've covered in this video, unflappable composure, intentional conversation, and self-respect through active self-care, has one thing in common. They all begin from within. This isn't about becoming more attractive to women. It's about becoming more aligned with who you are when no one's watching. And ironically, that's exactly what women notice first. The truth is, when a man becomes grounded in himself, when his calm becomes contagious, his presence intentional, and his appearance a reflection of respect, he no longer needs to seek attention. He commands it, not by noise, but by energy, not through performance, but through presence. The Stoics didn't teach us to manipulate or impress. They taught us to master ourselves. The Stoics taught us to master ourselves, not others. These traits aren't tricks. They're reflections of a man who's done the inner work. And the beauty of that work? It never expires with age. This is just the beginning of what true maturity and quiet power look like. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and join this brotherhood of men mastering Stoicism and modern masculinity. And this week, try walking into a room in silence. See how it changes the energy. Comment below, which of these traits are already a part of your life, and which one will you build next?